Welcome to the Cheating and Love Tales channel. The welding torch hissed as Cole Henley guided the blue flame across the metal seam. Sweat beaded on his forehead beneath the protective mask, but his hands remained steady. The same steadiness that had served him well as a Marine. The workshop smelled of hot metal and motor oil, familiar scents that had replaced gunpowder and sand in his life. Mr. Henley, Cole switched off the torch and lifted his mask. His apprentice, Valencia Morris. He, to everyone who knew her, stood in the doorway of his workshop, arms crossed. Thought you'd want to know it's almost 5. Didn't you say you needed to get home early today? Something about Keaton's science project. Cole nodded, setting down his equipment. Thanks. V lost track of time. You always do when you're working on something new. V walked over, examining the metal sculpture taking shape on his workbench. What is it? Something for Keaton. A model of a Marine Osprey. Cole ran a calloused hand over the half-finished aircraft. He's been asking about my time overseas. Kid's curious about his old man. Can't blame him. V's voice softened. How's he doing with the treatments? Better. Cole began cleaning up his station with practiced efficiency. Doctor says the new medication is showing promise. And Marla? She's hanging in there. Something tightened in Cole's chest. She's managing. V's eyes narrowed slightly, but she just nodded. Tell the kid I said hey. Will do. The drive home took 15 minutes, winding through their coastal Oregon town, where the perpetual mist hung between the pines. Cole drove with the windows down despite the chill, letting the cold air clear his head. His thoughts drifted to Marla, her increasing distance, the way she flinched when he touched her, the late-night phone call she thought he couldn't hear. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. 15 years of marriage. 13 years raising Keaton together. And now, something was wrong. Something beyond the usual struggles of a marriage strained by a child's illness and financial pressure. Cole pulled into the driveway of their modest 2-story home. Keaton's bike was propped against the garage door. At least his son was home. Marla's car was in the driveway too, which was unusual for Thursday. Normally, she'd be at her book club until 7. The house smelled of garlic and tomato sauce. When Cole opened the door, another surprise. Marla hadn't cooked a proper meal in weeks. Dad. Keaton's voice came from the living room, where he sat cross-legged on the floor, textbooks spread around him. At 13, he was all elbows and knees, growing faster than they could buy clothes for him. Despite the medical issues that had plagued him since birth, there was a brightness in Keaton's eyes that reminded Cole of why he got up every morning. Hey, buddy. Cole ruffled his son's hair. How was school? Boring. Except for science. We're dissecting frogs next week. Sounds messy. That's the best part. Keaton grinned, then lowered his voice. Mom's making lasagna. She seems different today. Cole glanced toward the kitchen. Different how? Keaton shrugged. I don't know. She's smiling a lot. But not like she's happy. More like she's waiting for something. A chill ran down Cole's spine that had nothing to do with the coastal weather. Why don't you pack up your homework? Dinner should be ready soon. In the kitchen, Marla stood at the counter, carefully cutting garlic bread. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail, and she wore the blue dress Cole had given her for their anniversary 2 years ago. Another anomaly. She looked up as he entered, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. You're home. She wiped her hands on a dish towel. Perfect timing. Dinner's almost ready. Cole leaned against the doorframe, studying her. I didn't know you were cooking tonight. Thought you had book club. It was canceled. Marla turned back to the oven, checking the lasagna. I thought it would be nice to have a family dinner for once. It's been a while. It has. Cole watched as she poured red wine into glasses. Special occasion. Marla's hand paused almost imperceptibly before continuing to pour. Does there need to be an occasion for me to make dinner for my family? Cole said nothing, just continued to observe the woman who had once looked at him with genuine love, not this careful mask of domesticity. Something in her movements seemed rehearsed, as if she were playing the role of devoted wife rather than being one. "Why don't you call Keaton?" "Everything's ready." Dinner began quietly. The lasagna was perfect. Layers of pasta, meat, and cheese with just the right amount of spice. Cole took small bites, watching as Keaton wolfed down his portion. Marla sipped her wine, but barely touched her food. "This is great, Mom," Keaton said between mouthfuls. "I'm glad you like it, sweetie. Make sure you try the garlic bread. I made it just how you like it." Cole took a piece of bread, but didn't eat it yet. "How's work been, Marla? You haven't talked much about it lately." "Oh, the usual. Dealing with clients, paperwork." She waved a hand dismissively. "Nothing interesting. Didn't you mention a new project last week? Something about redesigning a client's lakefront property?" Marla's smile faltered for just a moment. "That fell through. Creative differences." Cole nodded and finally took a bite of the garlic bread. It was rich with butter and garlic, Keaton's favorite. He watched as his son reached for his water glass, noticing how Keaton's hand trembled slightly. "Everything okay, buddy?" "Just." Keaton's voice sounded strange, almost slurred. "I feel a little dizzy." Cole's body tensed, combat instincts firing warning signals through his system. He looked at his own plate, then at Marla, who was watching Keaton, with an intensity that made Cole's blood run cold. "I'm not feeling too great either," Cole said, pushing away from the table. The room tilted slightly, and he gripped the edge of the table to steady himself. "Oh no," Marla said, concern painted perfectly on her face. "Maybe it's something you ate at lunch. You both look pale." Cole tried to stand, but his legs buckled. Keaton slumped forward, his forehead hitting the table with a soft thud. Cole forced himself to the floor, crawling toward his son. "Keaton," his voice sounded distant to his own ears. "Keaton, stay with me." "Dad." Keaton's eyes fluttered. "I can't feel my legs." Cole's vision blurred as he pulled Keaton down to the floor beside him. With tremendous effort, he positioned himself to look as though he'd passed out, but kept one eye cracked open just enough to see. Marla stood over them, her face transformed. The mask of concern was gone, replaced by cold calculation. She knelt, checking Keaton's pulse first, then Cole's. Satisfied, she pulled her phone from her pocket and dialed. "It's done," she said softly. "They'll both be gone soon. No one suspects anything. Just a tragic accident. Food poisoning. Maybe. The lasagna is already in the trash. I'll call 911 in about an hour when it's too late to help them." She listened for a moment, then laughed. A sound so foreign to Cole that his chest constricted with rage and betrayal. "Of course, I'm sure. I checked their pulses myself. We'll have the insurance money by next month. Then Costa Rica, just like we planned." When she hung up, she stood looking down at them for a long moment. Then, without another word, she grabbed her purse and keys and walked out the front door. As soon as he heard her car pull away, Cole whispered to Keaton, "Don't move yet. Stay still until I tell you." "Dad," Keaton's voice was weak. "What's happening?" "I'll explain soon. We need to get to safety first." Cole forced his body to move despite the poison flowing through his veins. Every muscle screamed in protest, but the rage burning inside him was stronger. "Can you move at all?" "A little. Everything's numb." Cole dragged himself to his knees, fighting against the vertigo that threatened to send him crashing back to the floor. With agonizing slowness, he pulled Keaton up, supporting his son's weight against his shoulder. "We need to get to the basement," he managed through gritted teeth. "Hold on to me." The journey across the house felt endless. Each step was a battle against the toxin that made their limbs heavy and unresponsive. By the time they reached the basement door, Cole's shirt was soaked with sweat, and Keaton's breathing had become shallow and rapid. The basement was finished on one side, a space for Keaton's video games and Cole's home gym. But Cole headed for the unfinished section, where concrete floors met bare foundation walls. Behind a stack of storage bins was a steel door, a door Marla didn't know existed. "Dad, what is that?" Keaton asked, his voice slightly stronger now that they were moving. Cole punched a code into the keypad beside the door. "Something I hoped we'd never need." The door swung open to reveal a small room equipped with a cot, medical supplies, canned food, bottled water, and a bank of monitors showing different angles of their house. Cole helped Keaton onto the cot before staggering to a metal cabinet, where he retrieved a bottle of activated charcoal and a medical kit. "Take this," he said, measuring out a dose of the black liquid. "It'll help absorb the poison." Keaton's hands shook as he took the cup. "Poison? Dad, was Mom trying to?" "Drink first, then we'll talk." Cole prepared another dose for himself, then opened the medical kit and removed a pre-filled syringe. He rolled up his sleeve and injected the contents into his arm with practiced efficiency. "What's that?" Keaton asked, his voice small. "Something from my Marine days." "A stabilizer." Cole sat heavily on the edge of the cot. "It'll counteract the symptoms until the charcoal does its job." As the medication began to take effect, Cole's mind cleared enough to focus on the monitors. He pulled the laptop from under the cot and began typing, bringing up saved footage from the past several weeks. "Dad, please tell me what's going on." Keaton's eyes were wide, fear battling with confusion. "Why does this room exist? Why did Mom? Why would she?" Cole ran a hand over his face, his fingers trembling slightly, not from the poison, but from the effort of containing his rage. "I built this after the break-in 3 years ago. Didn't tell your mom because I didn't want her to worry. But lately, I've been noticing things." "What things?" Cole turned the laptop so Keaton could see. On the screen was footage from earlier that evening. Marla standing in the kitchen, carefully measuring a white powder into the sauce before stirring it thoroughly. "No," Keaton whispered. "She wouldn't." "She did." Cole's voice was flat. "And she's been planning it for a while." He clicked through more saved clips. Marla on the phone at night, speaking in hushed tones. Marla checking life insurance documents when she thought no one was home. Marla meeting a man in a coffee shop, accepting an envelope that she quickly tucked in her purse. "I didn't want to believe it either," Cole said. "I kept hoping there was another explanation. That's why I installed the cameras. I needed to be sure before I did anything." "Who was she talking to on the phone?" After we collapsed." Cole clicked on another file. The footage showed Marla in the kitchen again, this time with her phone to her ear. He increased the volume. "It's done. They'll both be gone soon." A man's voice responded, tinny through the phone speaker. "Good. You get your cut once the bodies are confirmed. The insurance company will need to verify the deaths before payment." Keaton made a sound somewhere between a sob and a gasp. "She wanted us dead for money." Cole closed the laptop, unable to bear the devastation in his son's eyes. "I'm going to fix this. I promise you that." "How?" "We can't go to the police. They'll think we're crazy. It's her word against ours. We have the footage. She'll say you doctored it, that you're paranoid." Cole knew Keaton was right. His thoughts turned to his brother-in-law, Wyatt, a former Marine who had served with him. If anyone would help them, it would be Wyatt. "We need allies," Cole said, reaching for his phone. "I'm going to call your Uncle Wyatt." The call connected after 3 rings. "Cole, it's late. Everything okay?" "No, Wyatt. It's not. I need your help." Marla tried to. "Stop." Wyatt's voice hardened. "Just stop. I'm not getting involved in whatever's going on between you two. This is a marital dispute. She tried to kill us, me and Keaton. Poisoned our food." A long silence followed. "Cole, listen to yourself. Do you know how that sounds?" "I know exactly how it sounds. But it's the truth. I have proof. Security footage. Look, I've tried to give you the benefit of the doubt over the years, but Marla told me about your episodes. The paranoia, the mood swings. She's been worried about you for a long time." Cole's grip on the phone tightened. She told you I was unstable. She told all of us. The family's concerned, Cole. We have been talking about intervention options, getting you help. The betrayal cut deeper than Cole had thought possible. While he was working overtime to pay for Keaton's medical bills, Marla had been poisoning his reputation, preparing the ground for when she finally poisoned his body. Wyatt, I'm asking you as a brother, as a fellow Marine. Don't. Wyatt's voice was cold. Don't use our service to manipulate me. I've seen men break after coming home. There's no shame in getting help. She's lying to you. Stay away from my family, Cole. I mean it. Get professional help before you do something you can't take back. The line went dead. Cole stared at the phone, a numbness spreading through him that had nothing to do with the poison. Uncle Wyatt doesn't believe us, does he? Keaton asked quietly. No. Cole set the phone down. No one will. Your mom's been careful, setting the stage for a long time. Keaton's face crumpled. What are we going to do? Cole looked at his son, the one person in the world he would die for without hesitation. In that moment, something inside him hardened into resolve. The world thought him capable of darkness. Then darkness they would have. We're going to disappear, he said. And then we're going to make her pay. 3 days had passed since their world imploded. Cole watched the news report from a motel television, volume low to avoid waking Keaton, who slept fitfully on the sagging mattress beside him. Local authorities continue to search for Cole Henley and his 13-year-old son, Keaton, who disappeared after allegedly threatening Marla Henley, Cole's wife and the boy's mother. The anchor's expression was appropriately grave. Mrs. Henley has filed a restraining order, claiming her husband exhibited increasingly erratic behavior before taking their son and making violent threats. Police are treating this as a potential kidnapping situation. Cole switched off the television. The narrative was set, exactly as he predicted. Marla had moved quickly, playing the role of concerned mother and frightened wife to perfection. He looked over at Keaton, whose face remained pale, even in sleep. The poison had worked its way out of their systems, but the betrayal remained, a wound that would never fully heal. Cole's phone vibrated. A cheap burner he purchased with cash at a gas station 50 miles from home. The text was from V. Safe house ready. Bring the kid tonight. 8 p.m., corner of Elm and 43rd. It was time for the next phase. Cole gently shook Keaton awake. We need to move, he said softly. I've found somewhere safe for you to stay. Keaton sat up, rubbing his eyes. Where are you going to be? I have things to take care of. You're going after Mom, aren't you? Cole met his son's gaze. There was no point lying to him. Keaton had already seen too much truth. Yes. What are you going to do to her? What needs to be done? Cole stood, gathering their few belongings. Get your shoes on. We leave in 5 minutes. V was waiting in a battered pickup truck when they arrived at the meeting point. Her sharp eyes took in their appearance, noting Keaton's exhaustion and Cole's barely contained fury. You look like hell, she said by way of greeting. Feel worse, Cole replied, helping Keaton into the truck. V drove them out of town, taking back roads until they reached a small cabin set back from a gravel road, surrounded by dense forest. Inside was simple but clean, a main room with a kitchenette, a bedroom visible through an open door, and a stone fireplace. My uncle left me this place, V explained. Nobody knows about it except family. And they're all out of state. You'll be safe here. Keaton looked around, his expression unreadable. How long do we have to hide? Not long, Cole said. I promise. V pulled Cole aside while Keaton explored the cabin. What's really going on, Henley? The news is saying you kidnapped your kid, threatened your wife. It's complicated. Uncomplicated for me. I'm sticking my neck out here. Cole studied V's face, remembering the night 3 years ago when he pulled her from a car after her ex-boyfriend ran it off the road. She'd been unconscious, bleeding, the car beginning to burn. Cole had broken the window with his elbow, dragged her out seconds before the gas tank exploded. Her ex went to prison, and V became Cole's apprentice, determined to rebuild her life. "Marla tried to kill us," he said finally. "Poisoned our dinner. She's been planning it for months, maybe longer. She wants the insurance money." V didn't look surprised, which caught Cole off guard. "I always thought there was something off about her," she said. "The way she looked at you when you weren't watching, like you were an obstacle, not a husband. You saw it too. Women notice these things." V's expression hardened. "What's your plan?" "Keep Keaton safe. Find evidence. Make her pay. The police won't help. She's already got them believing you're the danger." "I know." V seemed to make a decision. "My cousin Ronan lives about 20 miles from here. Ex-military engineer. These days he makes specialized equipment for people who need privacy." "What kind of equipment?" "The kind that leaves no trace." V held his gaze. "I can introduce you, but after that, I don't want to know details. Plausible deniability. I'll take care of your boy, but whatever you're planning, that's your business." Cole nodded. "Fair enough." After making sure Keaton was settled, Cole slipped away with V. They drove deeper into the forest, eventually turning onto a dirt path that ended at a converted shipping container surrounded by solar panels and satellite dishes. Ronan was younger than Cole had expected, early 30s with the hyper-alert eyes of someone who'd seen combat. He listened to V's abbreviated explanation without interruption, then nodded once. "Come in," he said simply. Inside the container was a workshop that would have made military intelligence envious. One wall was lined with computer monitors, another with tools and half-assembled devices. The air smelled of solder and gun oil. "What do you need?" Ronan asked, crossing his arms. "Surveillance equipment. Something that can't be detected easily. And," Cole hesitated, "a weapon. Something quiet. Surveillance I could do legally. The other thing, that's different territory." "I understand." Ronan studied him for a long moment. "V says you pulled her out of a burning car, says she'd be dead if not for you. Anyone would have done the same." "No, they wouldn't have." Ronan moved to one of his workbenches. "I did 3 tours in Afghanistan developing countermeasures for IEDs, saved a lot of lives. Came home to find my sister dead at the hands of her husband, a man who walked free because of a technicality and is now living in Hawaii with a new wife." He opened a drawer and removed a small device. "This is a long-range transmitter disguised as a basic car tracking unit. It'll give you GPS coordinates, audio within a 15-foot radius, and can't be detected by standard suites." Cole took the device, turning it over in his hands. "And the other item?" Ronan's expression revealed nothing as he moved to another area of the workshop. From a hidden panel on the floor, he retrieved a locked case. "This never came from me. We never met. V never brought you here." "Understood. If you're caught with this, it's federal time." Cole nodded. "I won't be caught." 2 weeks earlier, Marla Henley sat across from Russ Kincaid in a coffee shop 30 miles from her home, her stomach fluttering with a combination of desire and fear. Russ was everything Cole wasn't: smooth, sophisticated, ambitious. His tech startup had just secured another round of funding, and he spoke of millions as casually as others discussed the weather. "It's all arranged," he said, sliding an envelope across the table. "The substance is untraceable. Symptoms mimic a severe allergic reaction. No autopsy will detect it unless they're specifically looking, which they won't be." Marla's fingers trembled as she took the envelope. "And after, we wait. Insurance companies are careful with large payouts. They'll investigate, but they won't find anything. Then we collect and disappear. Costa Rica has no extradition treaty with the U.S. What about Keaton? His medical condition is expensive and draining your finances. You said yourself he'll never be fully healthy. This is a mercy, Marla, for all of you." Marla looked down at her coffee. Her mother's voice echoed in her head. "Men are tools, nothing more. Use them, then discard them when they've served their purpose. Cole had served his. He'd given her Keaton, provided a stable home, a respectable life. But now he was an anchor, holding her back from the life she deserved. And Keaton, the endless doctor visits, the medications, the special diets. She loved her son, but the burden was crushing her. This would be better. A clean break, a fresh start. "I'll do it Friday," she said finally. "Cole will be home early. I'll make lasagna. It's Keaton's favorite." Russ smiled, reaching across the table to take her hand. "Soon, it'll just be us. No more hiding, no more pretending." Marla smiled back, pushing away the last flicker of doubt. Cole reviewed the footage from Marla's car tracker for the third time, noting the same pattern. Monday and Thursday afternoons spent at a modern apartment building in Portland, always for exactly 3 hours. The audio had captured multiple conversations, confirming what he already knew. Marla was living a double life with a man named Russ Kincaid, celebrating their freedom from Cole and Keaton. Now he watched from across the street as Marla entered the building, using a key card to access the private elevator. According to property records Cole had pulled, the penthouse belonged to Russell Kincaid, CEO of Nexstar Technologies, a company that promised revolutionary AI solutions, but had yet to deliver an actual product. Cole opened his laptop, accessing the building's security cameras through a back door Ronan had created. The feed showed Marla stepping into the elevator, checking her appearance in the mirrored wall, then exiting on the top floor. She entered the penthouse without knocking. Inside, Russ greeted her with a kiss. "Any problems?" "None." Marla dropped her purse on a glass coffee table. "The police have issued a statewide alert for Cole and Keaton. They're convinced Cole's had some kind of breakdown, PTSD or something. They're treating me like a victim." "Perfect." Russ poured 2 glasses of champagne. "To new beginnings." They clinked glasses and Cole had to force himself to breathe through the rage that threatened to overwhelm him. He watched them celebrate the deaths of a father and his child, deaths that hadn't occurred, but that they believed had. Cole closed the laptop. He had what he needed. Back at the motel, where he was now staying separate from Keaton for security, Cole spread out the materials he'd gathered. Property records showed that besides the penthouse, Russ owned a warehouse on the outskirts of the city, listed as storage for Nexstar Technologies. But utility records told a different story. Minimal electricity usage except for a sophisticated security system. No water consumption at all. Not a working business location. Then, something else. Cole's phone buzzed with a text from Ronan. "Equipment ready. Tonight." The pieces were falling into place. Ronan handed over a small drone equipped with a high-resolution camera. "Control range is half a mile. Battery lasts 40 minutes. Camera can see through most standard windows. Captures both visual and infrared." Cole examined the drone, noting its matte black finish and near-silent rotors. "This will work." "Any other items?" From a duffel bag, Ronan produced a handgun with an integrated suppressor. Modified Glock 19. Subsonic ammunition. The suppressor is permanently attached, more reliable that way. Next came a set of what looked like ordinary smoke grenades. These produce a dense fog that blocks standard security cameras and most motion sensors. 3-minute dispersal, no residue. Cole packed everything carefully. "Thank you." "Don't thank me," Ronan said. "Just be thorough. People like your wife and her boyfriend, they don't stop. They don't learn lessons. They just find new victims." Cole nodded, understanding precisely what Ronan wasn't saying. The staging of his own death was methodical, like every other aspect of Cole's plan. He left bloodied clothes by the river, clothes that contained traces of his DNA from hair and skin cells. He made sure the blood was his own, drawn carefully with a syringe, and spread to suggest significant injury. A burner phone registered in his name was left nearby, its GPS active enough to ping location data before the battery died. Local news reported it within hours. Search underway for possibly suicidal kidnapping suspect. By evening, The narrative had evolved. Authorities fear murder-suicide as blood found near river matches missing father. Cole watched the coverage from the cabin where V was caring for Keaton. His son's expression was unreadable as the reporter described how Cole had likely killed himself after harming or killing his own son. "They think we're dead," Keaton said quietly. "That's the idea." "Is that what Mom thinks too?" Cole pulled up the audio feed from Marla's apartment. Her voice filled the room. "They found blood by the river. They think he killed himself, maybe Keaton too." Russ's voice followed. "Any bodies yet?" "No, but they're dragging the river. It's only a matter of time. And then the insurance pays out. After investigation, yes. We need to be patient." Cole turned off the recording. "She thinks we're dead, and she's happy about it." Keaton's face hardened, something changing in his eyes, a loss of innocence that Cole wished he could have prevented. "What happens next?" "Next, I go after the boyfriend. He's the weak link. And then Mom." Cole looked at his son, seeing not just a boy but a young man who had been forced to confront the darkest aspects of human nature far too soon. One step at a time. The warehouse stood isolated at the end of an industrial park, its exterior weathered and unremarkable. Cole had spent 3 nights observing the property, noting that Russ visited only once a week, always alone, always after midnight. Tonight was that night. Cole watched through binoculars as Russ's Tesla pulled up to the gate. The security system was high-end. Camera coverage, motion sensors, electronic locks requiring both key card and numeric code. But Cole had planned for this. As Russ approached the gate, his phone pinged with an email. Cole watched him pause, reading the message with increasing agitation. The email, sent from an anonymous account using routing that couldn't be traced, contained an FBI letterhead and suggested that agents had evidence Marla Henley was cooperating with authorities, offering information about Nextstart's financial irregularities in exchange for immunity. It was entirely fabricated, of course, but Russ wouldn't know that. Not until it was too late. Russ made a phone call immediately, his body language betraying his panic. When Marla didn't answer, she was at a spa hotel for the weekend, a detail Cole had learned from their surveillance. Russ punched in the gate code with shaking hands and hurried inside. Cole gave him 5 minutes, then moved. The smoke grenades went first, deployed at strategic points around the warehouse's exterior. As the dense fog enveloped the security cameras, Cole approached the gate. Using the code he'd observed, the electronic lock disengaged with a soft click. Inside, the warehouse was divided into sections. One area held servers likely containing financial records and other sensitive data. Another contained locked cabinets that Cole suspected held cash or other valuables. But it was the third section that drew his attention. A small, soundproofed room where Russ now sat at a computer, frantically typing. Cole moved silently, the modified Glock solid in his hand. When he entered the room, Russ didn't immediately notice, so focused was he on deleting files. "Hello, Russ." Russ spun in his chair, eyes widening in shock. You know who I am." Cole closed the door behind him. "I'm the man you tried to kill. The man whose son you tried to kill." "I don't." Russ froze as Cole raised the gun. "Don't bother lying. I've heard the recordings. I've seen the footage. I know everything." Russ's face drained of color. "Cole, you're supposed to be dead. Sorry to disappoint." Cole moved closer, his voice deadly calm. "Did you really think it would be that easy? I wouldn't notice my own wife poisoning my food. Look, this is a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" Cole almost laughed. "Is that what you call planning a double murder? Conspiring to kill a child for insurance money?" Russ's eyes darted to the door, calculating his chances. Cole shook his head slightly. "Don't. You wouldn't make it 2 steps. What do you want?" Russ's voice shook despite his attempt to sound in control. "Money. I've got plenty. Name your price." "I don't want your money." Cole reached into his pocket and removed a small digital recorder. I want a confession. Every detail from the beginning. How you met Marla, when you started planning, who suggested killing Keaton, everything. And if I do this, you let me go. Turn the recording over to the police. That's one option. It wasn't, of course. There had never been any option, not from the moment Cole watched Marla check his pulse, believing him dead or dying. But Russ didn't need to know that yet. Start talking, Cole said, placing the recorder on the desk. From the beginning, Russ talked for over an hour. He detailed everything. Meeting Marla at a real estate convention. Their affair beginning within weeks. The gradual realization that Cole's life insurance policy was substantial due to his military service and hazardous occupation. It was her idea, Russ said, desperation making him eager to shift blame. The poison, I mean. She said it would look natural. Cole had a shellfish allergy. The boy had medical problems. No one would question it. But killing Keaton was your suggestion, Cole said, his voice dangerously soft. Russ hesitated. His medical bills were draining their savings. The insurance would pay double for both of them. It was efficient. Efficient. Cole's finger tightened slightly on the trigger. My son's life was an inefficiency to be eliminated. I never met the kid, Russ said quickly. It wasn't personal. Cole stared at him. This man who could discuss murdering a child as though it were a business decision. It was personal to me. When the confession was complete, Cole pocketed the recorder. Thank you for your honesty. Relief flooded Russ's face. So we're done here. I gave you what you wanted. Almost. Cole moved to the computer, ejecting a thumb drive Russ had inserted. What's on this? Nothing important. Just some company financials. Cole pocketed it. I'll keep it anyway. Insurance of my own. Fine. Whatever. Can I go now? Cole studied him. This man who had plotted to destroy everything Cole loved, who had corrupted Marla, convinced her that money was worth more than the lives of her husband and child. In Afghanistan, Cole had learned that some threats couldn't be neutralized halfway. Some enemies would never stop coming for you. No, Russ, Cole said quietly. You can't go. Understanding dawned in Russ's eyes. Wait, you said. I didn't say anything about letting you go. I said a confession was one option. I didn't say it was yours. Russ lunged forward, desperation giving him speed. Cole sidestepped, bringing the butt of the gun down on Russ's temple. He collapsed to the floor, stunned but conscious. Please, he gasped. I have money. Offshore accounts. Millions. It's all yours. I told you, Cole said, binding Russ's hands with zip ties. I don't want your money. From his pack, Cole removed containers of accelerant one by one. He opened them, splashing the contents around the room, on the servers, the file cabinets, the computer equipment. What are you doing? Russ struggled against the restraints. That's all my data, my money. It's evidence, Cole corrected him. A fraud, conspiracy, attempted murder. It's all going to burn. You can't do this. You can't just kill me. Cole looked at the man who had so casually planned the death of his 13-year-old son. Actually, I can, but I'm not going to. Relief flooded Russ's face, quickly replaced by confusion, when Cole continued spreading accelerant. The fire is, Cole explained, his voice detached. Warehouse fires happen all the time in this district. Faulty wiring, old buildings, no one will question it. They'll know it was you. Cole Henley is dead. Drowned himself in the river out of guilt and mental instability. The police will be looking for his body, not investigating a warehouse fire across the state. Russ's struggles grew more frantic. Marla will know. She'll figure it out. Marla will be too busy planning her own escape to worry about you. Cole stood over him. She used you, Russ, just like she used me. The difference is, I figured it out in time. Cole struck a match, watching the small flame dance between his fingers. You were right about one thing. It isn't personal. It's justice. He dropped the match and walked away as the first flames leaped eagerly across the accelerant-soaked floor. Behind him, Russ screamed, the sound quickly drowned by the roar of the growing fire. Outside, Cole watched from a distance as the warehouse burned, sending plumes of black smoke into the night sky. When the first fire trucks arrived, he was already gone, the recording of Russ's confession secured, and the thumb drive containing whatever financial secrets Russ had been protecting safely in his pocket. Later that night, from an anonymous email account, Cole sent a copy of Russ's confession to the police department, not enough to expose his own survival, but enough to ensure that when Marla tried to claim the insurance money, there would be questions he couldn't answer. Point 1 down. 1 to go. Marla's phone chimed with a text message as she stepped out of the shower. She wrapped herself in a plush hotel robe before checking it. The message was from Russ's number. Meet me at the cabin. 9 p.m. Bring cash. Emergency. Her heart rate accelerated. They had agreed not to use the cabin until after the insurance payout. It was too risky. Something must have gone wrong. She tried calling Russ's number, but the call went straight to voicemail. She sent a text. What's happening? Why the cabin? The response came quickly. Can't talk. Just come. Bring the emergency cash. Trust me. Marla stared at the phone, unease spreading through her body. In the 3 weeks since Cole and Keaton had disappeared, everything had been proceeding according to plan. The police were treating Cole as the prime suspect in Keaton's disappearance. When blood matching both Cole and Keaton was found by the river, the narrative shifted to murder-suicide. The insurance company had begun the verification process. But now this. She dialed Russ again. Still voicemail. With shaking hands, she opened her laptop and checked the news. A headline caught her eye. Warehouse fire claims life of tech CEO. The room seemed to tilt. The article described how Russell Kincaid, CEO of Nexstar Technologies, had died in a fire that destroyed his warehouse. The cause was still under investigation, but authorities suspected electrical failure. Marla closed the laptop. If Russ was dead, who had sent those texts? Her phone chimed again. I know you saw the news. It's not what you think. Please come. I'll explain everything. It could be a trap. The police, perhaps, using Russ's phone to lure her into a confession. But how would they know about the cabin? It was purchased through a shell company, the paperwork buried under layers of false identities. Or maybe it wasn't a trap. Maybe Russ had faked his death, creating a diversion to throw off any potential investigation. It would be just like him. Theatrical, dramatic, effective. Marla made her decision. She would go, but she would be prepared. From her suitcase, she removed a small handgun Russ had given her for protection. She checked that it was loaded before tucking it into her purse alongside a stack of cash. $50,000 in used bills, their emergency fund. The cabin was located 2 hours from the city, nestled in dense forest with no neighbors for miles. Perfect for privacy. Perfect for secrets. As Marla drove along the winding road, darkness fell, making the forest around her seem like a living entity, watching and waiting. When she finally reached the turnoff to the cabin, she noticed something strange. A soft, golden glow emanated from within. Not the harsh glare of police floodlights, but the gentle illumination of candles. She parked some distance away, approaching cautiously on foot. Through the windows, she could see dozens of candles arranged throughout the main room. Music played softly, the same jazz album that had been playing the first night she and Russ had been together. Relief flooded through her. It was Russ being romantic, even in crisis. She should have known. Still, caution made her keep her hand on the gun as she entered the cabin. Russ. No answer, but on the dining table was a bottle of wine already opened, and a single glass. Beside it lay a note in Russ's handwriting. Pour yourself a drink. I'll be right back. Marla looked around the empty cabin, her nervousness fading. This was so typically Russ. Dramatic, romantic, excessive. Whatever emergency had brought them here, He still couldn't resist setting a scene. She poured the wine and took a small sip, savoring the rich flavor. As she set the glass down, movement caught her eye. A shadow, shifting in the corner of the room. "Russ, this isn't funny. It's not meant to be." The voice froze her blood, not Russ's smooth, cultivated tones, but a deeper, harder voice she knew intimately. A voice that should have been silenced forever. Cole stepped out of the shadows, his face illuminated by candlelight. He looked different, thinner, harder, his eyes burning with an intensity that made Marla take a step back. "You're dead," she whispered. "So is Russ," Cole replied. "The difference is, he's actually dead." Marla's hand moved to her purse, but Cole shook his head. "The gun won't help you. I removed the firing pin while you were walking up from the car." "How did you?" "I know you, Marla, better than you think." Cole moved to the table, placing a laptop on its surface. "Just like I know what you and Russ planned. How long were you going to wait after killing me and Keaton?" "A month. 2, before you joined him with all that insurance money." "You don't understand," Marla began, her mind racing for a way out. "Russ manipulated me. He threatened me, said he'd hurt Keaton if I didn't help him." Cole's laugh was without humor, still lying, even now. He opened the laptop and pressed play on a video file. Russ's face filled the screen, his expression a mixture of fear and resignation. "My name is Russell Kincaid," the recording began. "I am making this confession voluntarily. I conspired with Marla Henley to murder her husband, Cole Henley, and their son, Keaton Henley, for insurance money." Marla's legs gave way, and she collapsed into a chair as Russ detailed their entire plan. The poison, the staged food poisoning, the plan for Costa Rica. When he reached the part about suggesting Keaton be eliminated as well, Marla couldn't suppress a small sob. "Turn it off," she whispered. "Please." Cole closed the laptop. "That was sent to the police an hour after the warehouse fire. They're already investigating. The insurance claim will never be approved now." "You killed him." "It wasn't a question. I gave him justice." Cole's voice was calm, terrifyingly so. "The same justice I'm giving you." Marla's eyes darted to the wine glass. Understanding dawned. "The wine is perfectly fine." Cole picked up the glass and took a sip. "I'm not like you, Marla. I don't poison people." Relief lasted only seconds before Cole continued. "But what you injected into the lasagna that night, that was interesting. A paralytic that mimics an allergic reaction. Russ called it untraceable, unless they're specifically looking for it." From his pocket, Cole removed a syringe. "It took some doing to find the same compound, but Russ was very helpful before the fire." Marla stood abruptly, knocking over the chair as she backed away. "Cole, please, think about Keaton. He needs a mother. Don't." Cole's voice turned to ice. "Don't you dare use him as a shield now. You were willing to watch him die. To poison your own child for money. I wasn't thinking clearly. Russ convinced me. Russ may have been the devil on your shoulder, but the choice was yours." Cole advanced slowly. "You checked our pulses. You walked away thinking we were dying. You celebrated our deaths." Marla backed into the wall. "Nowhere left to go. What are you going to do?" "I'm going to give you your last supper." Cole gestured to the table. "Wine, candles, music, just like what you prepared for us. Except you get to experience the after effects yourself. The police will know it was you. The police think I'm dead. Remember, even if they find your body, they'll be looking for connections to Russ, not to a dead man." "You can't do this," Marla pleaded. "You're not a killer, Cole. You're a good man." I was. Cole's eyes reflected the candlelight, turning them into burning coals. "Until you decided my life, my son's life, were worth less than a payout." Marla lunged for the door, but Cole was faster. The syringe plunged in her arm before she could scream. She staggered, her legs immediately weakening. "It works fast," Cole said, supporting her as she collapsed. just like it did with me and Keaton, except we had activated charcoal and a stabilizer. You won't. He carried her to the couch, laying her down almost gently. Marla could still move her eyes, could still breathe, but her limbs were utterly unresponsive. This isn't mercy, Cole told her, his face inches from hers. It's memory. I want you to remember how it felt for us that night. The helplessness, the betrayal, the knowledge that someone who should have loved you wanted you dead. He stood, gathering candles from around the room and placing them strategically near curtains, beside papers, under furniture. Warehouse fires happen all the time, he said conversationally. So do cabin fires, especially in remote areas like this. Candles, wine, a tragic accident. Marla's eyes pleaded where her voice could not. Cole looked at her one last time. This woman he had loved, had built a life with, had created a child with. For a moment, something like regret crossed his face. You chose greed over your son, over me. He struck a match. That choice has consequences. The first candle toppled, catching the curtain. Fire spread quickly, hungry and eager. Cole walked to the door, pausing with his hand on the knob. Goodbye, Marla. He closed the door behind him, locking it with the key she had used to enter. As he walked away, flames began to lick at the cabin's wooden walls, sending sparks into the night sky. By the time anyone noticed the fire, there would be nothing left but ash and bone. Cole didn't look back. 2 weeks later, Cole Henley was officially declared dead. The blood found by the river had been conclusively matched to both him and Keaton. And though no bodies were recovered, authorities closed the case as a murder-suicide. Meanwhile, the investigation into Marla Henley's death revealed her connection to Russell Kincaid and their conspiracy to commit insurance fraud and murder. The confession video, anonymously delivered to police, provided all the evidence needed. The case made national headlines. Wife and lover plot husband's murder. Meet fiery end. No one connected the two cases. No one thought to look for a man who no longer existed. Did they publish the article? Keaton asked, looking up from where he was helping Vi repair a tractor engine. They were living on her family's farm now, 50 miles from their old life. Cole handed him the newspaper. The headline read, "Tragic end to insurance murder plot. Justice or karma?" Keaton scanned the article, his young face solemn beyond his years. Did they pay, Dad, for what they tried to do to us? Cole looked at his son, still innocent in many ways, despite everything he had endured. How much should a father share with a child? How much truth could a 13-year-old bear? Not enough, Cole said finally, but they're done. They can't hurt anyone else. Keaton nodded, seemingly satisfied with the answer. What happens to us now? We start over. Cole gestured to the sprawling farmland around them. Vi offered to sell us this place. Said she prefers the city anyway. We'll be farmers, among other things. Cole smiled slightly. I was thinking of opening a wilderness survival school, teaching people how to be prepared, how to protect themselves. Can I help? I'm counting on it. That night, after Keaton had gone to bed, Cole sat alone on the porch, watching stars emerge in the darkening sky. In his hand, he held two objects. The wine glass Marla had used that final night, carefully preserved in a plastic evidence bag, and a single bullet, the one he'd removed from the gun he'd given Marla, rendering it useless when she needed it most. One for memory, one for warning. He would keep them both locked away. Reminders of the man he had been forced to become. The world had taken Cole Henley, the husband, father, welder. In his place stood someone else, harder, colder, unforgiving. A man who had served justice when the law could not. A man who had protected his son at any cost. A man who would never again trust so easily or love so completely, but a man who still had a purpose, still had a reason to rise each morning and face the day. Keaton. Cole placed the items back in their metal box and locked it. Then he went inside, closing the door on the darkness behind him.